She is a member of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society and is extremely hardworking and very determined. In her free time, Lauryn enjoys photography, baking, singing, and playing her guitar and ukulele with her band, which has yet to be named. While at Scottsdale Community College, she has taken classes that range from acting to an in-depth study of the humanities to chemistry. Her passion for helping people, along with her love of science, has inspired her to continue her education in pre-health at Arizona State University. Please welcome Lauryn and Hanna.
I come from a small town where everyone knows you by name and where you got a hug wherever you went, even if it was just to the grocery store. Transitioning to a college was far more difficult for me than I had ever anticipated. But after my first semester here, I came to realize that I couldn't have made a better choice in a college. Everything around here is exactly what I needed it to be. Challenging, exciting, and overall friendly. How could we not be with Artie the Artichoke as our mascot? But aside from fitting in, I was still lost as to what I wanted to do with my life. How does a young adult make a decision about the rest of her life at such a young age? I remember sitting in my pre-calculus class thinking, in the grand scheme of things, what does it really matter if someone knows what the arctan of pi over 4 is? The answer, my friends? Nothing. In the grand scheme of things, a lot of this stuff probably doesn't matter. I have yet to use trigonometry in everyday life. Writing a research paper on whether or not violent video games influence violent behavior has not saved any lives. And Shakespeare quotes have yet to put food on the table. Except, in Macbeth, we learned that a little water cannot clear us of our deeds. And what we do in the dark cannot simply be washed away or forgotten. As Lady Macbeth says, what's done cannot be undone. In our years here, some of us learned how to be actors. We dressed up, adopted accents, and got the chance to be different people. We made up stories, played games, and learned how to connect with our feelings. We mocked, we praised, we led with our feet and our noses. We spelled our names across the stage using only our toes, and we spat everywhere. In acting class, we learned that sometimes you have to take a step backward to move forward. Sometimes it's okay to cry, but most importantly, we learn the value of keeping our inner child alive. But what do all these lessons mean? Nothing. Some of us learned about the myths of ancient peoples. We furiously tried to pronounce the names of Tezcatlipoca, Quetzalcoatl, Gilgamesh, Rama, and Lakshmana. We learned about the Mayans and the Aztecs, the Celts, the Hopi, the Greek. We committed to memory the different deities and how they were worshipped. We studied the sacrifices, the clothing they wore, the food they ate, and the holidays they celebrated. In world mythology, we learned that passion and emotion are what get us through the day, that our choices and our actions are far more important than the words that come out of our mouths, and that it's okay to make mistakes because to err is human. But what does it matter if you pay attention to the stories of our ancestors? Nothing. Some of us learned about the elements. We became experts in titrating an acid and a base, taking pH readings, calculating entropy, and nomenclature. We agonized over oxidation and reduction rules, ice charts, and precipitation. We were drilled with what not to dump down the sink, what not to drink or smell, and when not to wear your goggles, which is never, by the way. Don't ever take off your goggles in lab, or wear open-toed shoes for that matter. In chemistry, we learn that we don't always have to have the answer, but what matters is that we're willing to try to solve the problem. We learn that it's good to be frustrated because it means that you are trying. and we learned that it's okay to ask for help if you need it. But what's the point of science? Nothing. Socrates said, the only good is knowledge, the only bad is ignorance. And while I agree that the ultimate good is knowledge, Socrates obviously never had an iced venti raspberry passion tea apple juice from Starbucks or homemade chocolate croissants. And yes, while the ultimate bad may be ignorance, we can't forget the feeling of having all of your finals crammed into the same day, nor can we forget Rebecca Black's earthsome song, Friday, unfortunately. But Socrates had a good point. No, knowing nomenclature isn't going to make us better people. Correctly pronouncing Tezcatlipoca is not going to get us better jobs. And playing pretend certainly won't earn us shiny new cars. But all the subjects we study and all the classes we take bring knowledge that we would otherwise be without. And when we are without knowledge, we are ignorant. And when we are ignorant, we can fall victim to, or worse, promote all the evils that fill this world. The hate, the bigotry, the prejudice, genocide, homicide. And this is most certainly something. What I've learned most here is that no matter how old you are, we're all babies, infants in this huge ocean of knowledge. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, what's the point? You're kicking and paddling all this time, and you've gotten no seemingly closer to land than you started off. At times, the quest seems far too impossible to even fathom. But I don't think that getting to that shore off in the distance is really the point after all. There's so much to know, so much out there, so much to learn and experience. What's important isn't necessarily the destination after all. It's being lucky enough to learn how to swim and embracing the fact that we get that chance. So tonight, it's about us, right here, right now. Let's forget about the would've, could've, should'ves, and let's forget about our worries for the future. Tonight, we celebrate our accomplishments. And no matter where we go from here, we can be proud of this moment for the rest of our lives. Tonight, we thank those around us, the trials and tribulations that made us who we are, and most importantly, we thank ourselves. I'd like to leave you now with a quotation by one of my favorite poets, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and hope that it can inspire you to continue on your journey of knowledge wherever it takes you. Emerson says, "Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." Thank you and congratulations, my fellow graduates.
Over Troubled Water by Paul Simon, performed by the SCC Concert Choir.